Buddhists do not believe in science or logic. Buddhism is often misconceived as a faith-based system without regard for science or logic. In reality, Buddhism emphasizes wisdom gained through personal experience and analytical thinking. The Buddha himself encouraged inquiry and doubt as paths to understanding. Many Buddhist practices and teachings are compatible with scientific findings. For example, the mindfulness movement in psychology has its roots in Buddhist meditation techniques, highlighting the alignment between Buddhism and modern science. Moreover, Buddhist scholars have historically engaged in debates and discussions that promote rational thought. This tradition of integrating empirical observation and reason continues to be a hallmark of Buddhist practice and philosophy. Karma is destiny. A common misunderstanding is that karma means destiny, implying that everything is predestined and unchangeable. However, in Buddhism, karma refers to actions, thoughts, words, and deeds that continuously shape an individual's present and future. It emphasizes personal responsibility and the potential for change through conscious action. The future is seen as fluid and influenced by one's current actions rather than being set in stone. This understanding encourages proactive and ethical behavior. Buddhists believe that by making positive choices, individuals can create better outcomes for themselves. Therefore, karma is about empowerment and transformation, rather than fatalism. Buddhism started in Tibet, and the Dalai Lama is the top leader. Many people mistakenly believe that Buddhism originated in Tibet, and that the Dalai Lama is the supreme leader of all Buddhists. Buddhism actually began in India around 2,500 years ago with Siddhartha Gautama, known as the Buddha. It spread to Tibet much later, around 1,000 years after the Buddha's death. Additionally, Buddhism does not have a single supreme leader. It comprises various traditions and schools that operate independently while sharing core teachings. The Dalai Lama is a prominent figure in Tibetan Buddhism, but does not represent all Buddhist traditions. Other regions like Japan, China, and Southeast Asia have their own significant leaders and lineages. Thus, Buddhism is diverse with no central authority governing all practitioners. Buddhism is just a variant of Hinduism. While Buddhism originated in a region where Hinduism was prevalent, it is a distinct tradition with unique teachings and practices. The Buddha rejected key Hindu concepts such as the eternal soul, Atman, and the caste system. Buddhism's focus is on individual enlightenment and the cessation of suffering through ethical living, meditation, and wisdom. Despite some shared cultural and philosophical roots, Buddhism and Hinduism differ significantly in their doctrines and goals. Buddhism emphasizes the impermanence of all phenomena and the doctrine of no self, anatta. These differences highlight the unique path that Buddhism offers for spiritual development. Buddhism worships demons or evil forces. This misconception likely arises from a misunderstanding of Buddhist symbolism and iconography. Buddhism acknowledges the existence of negative forces, but focuses on overcoming them by cultivating positive qualities such as wisdom, compassion, and kindness. Rituals and practices in Buddhism are aimed at purifying the mind and developing virtues, not at worshiping demons or evil forces. The ultimate goal is to achieve enlightenment and liberation from suffering. Negative forces are seen as internal states to be transcended rather than external entities to be worshipped. Buddhist teachings consistently emphasize the development of inner peace and moral integrity. Buddhists pray to Buddha. In Buddhism, the historical Buddha is not considered a god but a revered teacher who achieved enlightenment. Buddhists do not pray to the Buddha in the same way that adherents of theistic religions pray to a deity. Instead, they honor his teachings and strive to follow his example to attain their own enlightenment. The act of bowing or making offerings to Buddha statues is a gesture of respect and a reminder of the path to awakening, rather than an act of worship. The Buddha's teachings encourage self-reliance and personal effort in spiritual practice. Devotional practices in Buddhism are more about cultivating the right qualities within oneself. This distinction separates Buddhist practices from theistic worship. Buddhism is a philosophy, not a religion. Buddhism is often seen as a philosophy due to its emphasis on practical wisdom and ethical conduct. However, it also possesses many characteristics of a religion, including rituals, moral codes, and a community of practitioners. Buddhism addresses existential questions and provides a spiritual framework for understanding the nature of existence and the path to liberation from suffering. While it may not fit the conventional definition of a religion centered on belief in a god, it serves as a comprehensive spiritual system. Buddhists engage in practices such as meditation, chanting, and ceremonies. These elements contribute to its recognition as a religion with deep spiritual and philosophical roots. Buddhism is pessimistic and negative. Some perceive Buddhism as pessimistic because it begins with the acknowledgement of suffering in life. However, Buddhism is fundamentally optimistic in its aim to overcome suffering and achieve lasting happiness. The teachings focus on understanding the nature of suffering and its causes, and on applying practical methods to alleviate it. By following the Buddha's path, individuals can transform their lives and attain a state of peace and joy. The emphasis on impermanence and change offers hope for personal growth and improvement. Buddhist practices promote a positive outlook through compassion, mindfulness, and wisdom. Thus, Buddhism seeks to empower individuals to find true happiness. The fat smiling statue is Buddha. The image of the fat smiling figure, often mistaken for the Buddha, is actually a representation of Budai, a Chinese monk who lived around the 10th century. Known as the Laughing Buddha, Budai is celebrated for his joyful and benevolent nature. This depiction is specific to certain East Asian cultures and is not representative of the historical Buddha, who is usually portrayed as a serene and ascetic figure. The historical Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, is typically depicted in a meditative or teaching posture. Budai's image has become popular in Western culture, often associated with good luck and prosperity. Understanding this distinction helps clarify Buddhist iconography. Everyone who follows Buddha's teachings is a vegetarian. While vegetarianism is encouraged in many Buddhist communities out of respect for all living beings, it is not a universal requirement. The Buddha himself was not a strict vegetarian and instructed his monastic followers to accept whatever food was offered to them, including meat. The emphasis is on mindful and compassionate living, and dietary practices can vary widely among different Buddhist traditions and individuals. Some sects, like Mahayana Buddhism, strongly advocate vegetarianism. However, other traditions, such as Theravada, leave the choice to individual practitioners. This flexibility reflects Buddhism's adaptability to different cultures and lifestyles. All spiritual training, including Buddhism, are different paths to the same mountaintop. This idea suggests that all spiritual paths lead to the same ultimate truth. However, Buddhism defines the ultimate goal, nirvana, differently from other religions. Nirvana is the cessation of all suffering and the end of the cycle of rebirth, achieved through the development of wisdom and ethical conduct. While Buddhism acknowledges the value of other spiritual traditions, it maintains that its teachings provide a unique and distinct path to liberation. Other religions may focus on union with a divine being or eternal life in a heavenly realm. Buddhism's emphasis on personal enlightenment and the end of suffering sets it apart. The most important Buddhist meditation is mindfulness. Mindfulness is a significant practice in Buddhism, but it is only one part of the broader Eightfold Path. This path includes right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Meditation in Buddhism encompasses various techniques aimed at developing concentration, insight, and tranquility. Each element of the Eightfold Path is essential for holistic spiritual development. While mindfulness helps cultivate awareness and presence, other practices like loving-kindness and insight meditation are equally important. Together, these practices support the comprehensive transformation of mind and behavior. Buddhism is a monotheistic religion. Buddhism does not involve belief in an omnipotent creator God, distinguishing it from monotheistic religions like Christianity, Islam, and Hinduism. Instead, Buddhism focuses on individual spiritual development and the attainment of enlightenment. The Buddha's teachings encourage self-reliance and personal responsibility in overcoming suffering and achieving liberation. While deities and supernatural beings appear in Buddhist cosmology, they are not central to its practice or doctrine. Buddhists seek to understand the nature of existence through their own experiences and insights. The path to enlightenment is viewed as a personal journey guided by the Buddha's teachings. If you found this exploration of common misconceptions about Buddhism enlightening, be sure to watch our next video where we delve into debunking Bible myths. We'll continue to uncover and clarify misunderstandings about religious teachings, shedding light on the true essence of these spiritual paths. Check it out and broaden your understanding.